From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Less Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Less Levine into our 25th consecutive year and powered by cleveland.com, as is Mary Kay Cabot. She's powered by a lot of people all over the country, becoming you're a hot news item all over the country. You got to be one tired young lady today.
Well, I am, but you know what? I always have energy to do this show, one of my favorite things to do each week.
Wow, thank you very much. Well, good night, everybody. We're done. I give a little background as to what happened in the last 24 hours for you, schedule-wise. You got to get the game on cleveland.com and write a column for the Plain Dealer. Give us a little idea as to what you're going through on a 24-hour basis.
Well, it starts with, on game day, usually you write some things ahead of time. So I wrote a few stories during the day, one of which was, so we're saying there's a chance for them to still head into that game, hoping to maybe have a little small sliver of hope to win the AFC North. So that was one thing I was working on during the day. And then I got down to the game probably around 4 o'clock, and I do several radio shows. So I did one radio show at like 3:20, and then I did another one at some point before the game. And then I wrote pregame notes while I was at the game. And then, just kind of looking on the field and see what's going on during pregame warmups and who might play or who might not. And then during the game, the thing that a lot of people probably don't know that we have to do is we write what's called, we call it the zero story. So we have to have a story up on cleveland.com when the clock strikes zero. We have to have something written. And so we're trying to write during the game. And it's just such a hard thing to do when the game is going the way that it was. I had no idea who was going to win the game. So you can't really be writing anything legible or intelligent that's going to make any sense when you don't even know who's going to win the game until, of course, the final play. So it's very tricky to pull all that off. But nonetheless, we have to do it. And then we jump over and get on Zooms with the coach and the players. And then with COVID, they don't really want us hanging around in press boxes too long anymore. So after we did a podcast after the Zooms, I left with a bunch of other writers, and we got to our cars, and then I drove home. And so now it's probably, 1:30 in the morning, and I hadn't even really started writing anything yet, except for the zero story that was up there. So I got home at 1:30 something, and then started working on a Baker Mayfield story. I wasn't done with it at 3 o'clock when it was time to go on the Amy Lawrence show on CBS. I still wasn't even done with my first Baker story. And so I did the radio show. Then I posted the Baker story. Then I always like to rewrite the zero story so that it is a cohesive game story, not just something thrown together in the middle of the game. So I rewrote that whole thing at 6 and finished that about 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I fell asleep with my lovely game outfit on, and I just crashed at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I woke up at 9 without any kind of alarm or anything. All of a sudden I just woke up at 9, and I looked at my phone, and I had this text from the Dan Patrick Show asking if I would be willing to come on a Zoom at 9:18 and be the first guest on the National Dan Patrick Show. Well, I didn't want to say no to Dan.
No, you don't say no to Dan, but he should have known. They should have had you set up before.
Well, I don't mind. I'm used to just thinking fast, but here I was, as I mentioned, I was still kind of a leftover from the game when I get this notice to come on and be on the Dan Patrick Show at 9:18. Well, it was 9:08. And so I was, in my clothes from the night before. I'm telling you how the sausage is made here, but this is the truth sometimes. So I had to quickly, scramble into some other outfit and, take off some of the mascara that was underneath my eyes and plop myself down in a chair and be on the National Dan Patrick Show at 9:18.
I hate when I have to take that mascara off. It's
See, now you guys don't have to worry about this. This is one thing that most of my male colleagues don't have to worry about, actually also trying to make sure that your hair looks good and that your makeup looks good,
You want to borrow Anytime you want to borrow my hair, it's all yours.
I used to laugh because, Tom Reed, when I would do the videos with Tom Reed, he'd always have some hoodie on, and just looking nice and casual and look perfectly fine in his hoodie. But, I always had to worry about making sure that I, had my lipstick on and all that.
All right, well, let's take a look at what you actually reported on last night, which, if you don't mind, I don't know how you can say this, but if you don't mind that the Browns lost a tough one, you saw one of the most exciting games that has been, well, certainly since the new stadium is there, First Energy, and going way back into the municipal stadium days. This was a game that it was nonstop, and once you think you have it figured out, you didn't.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm still kind of riding high from being at that game, and I wish more fans could have been there. I'm sure it was so exciting to watch it on television, but to actually be at that game and I'll never forget, I had my binoculars out and all of a sudden I'm looking, I'm like, wait a minute, is that Lamar Jackson running back out here to go back out onto the field? And I'm thinking, here we are, it's the 2-minute warning, it's 4th and 5 from the 44. Is he really going to do this? And he really did it. And not only did he run out there in that moment, but he threw a touchdown pass on that play, and I still can't believe that happened. I mean, that was just one of so many amazing things that happened in that game.
I don't know if you saw that, but when they went into the underneath the stadium to go to the locker room to see if they could catch Jackson, and at the same time, somebody, I don't know if it was a member of the Colts or the Baltimore organization, but the door opened, like how restaurants. Remember when we used to have restaurants? You'd open the door and you'd be careful of the other one exiting. And that I thought that he was going to go down on that one, but he's shifty enough to get around it. But did you have any problem with? We haven't had a chance to really talk about the coaching decisions of the Browns coach, and yet he made a couple of calls that I thought were questionable. Going for it on 4th and 4, last sequence of plays. I'm not sure if I would have done it the same way, although it's easy to say once it doesn't work.
Well, I did think about you because there were a few situations where I was like, what would Les do? And they should just wear a little bracelet during the game, and it should say, like WW LD. What would Les do? Because I thought about you for all of your clock management and how they left the Ravens with 1 minute and 4 seconds left, and obviously that was too much time. And I was wondering if you would have called the game a little bit differently there, but we did ask him a little bit about that today.
Yeah, is it fair to? I mean, it doesn't do you any good if you save time, but you don't get the score. So that doesn't do you any good. So I think you take what you can get in a situation like that. And we didn't like the outcome, but I think he had to get on the board somehow, some way. And by the way, are we done with criticizing Baker Mayfield as to whether he can be a franchise quarterback or not? Are we done with that?
You know what? He needed to show some things, though. I mean, when he came out of that Pittsburgh game, he still had not shown or proven that he was the guy to get this job done. And the clock was ticking on him because they do have to make decisions in the offseason. If they weren't going to have him be their guy going forward, they were going to have to make decisions and think about what to do. But he has stepped up to the plate. He's come up off the mat, and I don't think there is any question anymore in the mind of the organization about whether or not he is their guy. I think he's now flourishing in the system. He is running Kevin Stefanski's play action scheme really extremely well. And now he did have the interception, the costly interception, and he can't do those kinds of things. But to be that scrappy and to be that kind of a playmaker, I think he's shown that he is the guy.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Mary Kay Cabot is here covering the Cleveland Browns on cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer, of course. And it's the New York Football Giants coming up this weekend. And they're not the team they were 6-7 weeks ago. They're a little more formidable, I guess is the word.
Well, they are to a degree, but Daniel Jones is suffering from a hamstring injury, and he's basically like a sitting duck back there. And I just don't even know if it's the right decision to start Daniel Jones in this game. If I were Joe Judge, I would start Colt McCoy for a number of reasons. He's way more mobile. He will be able to get away from a little bit easier from Myles Garrett and Olivier Vernon and this stout defensive line. But also he would have something to prove. I mean, he would have that, revenge factor. He would want to beat his former team that gave up on him. So I think that could be really interesting in that regard. I just don't think Daniel Jones is healthy enough right now.
Yeah. Do you find it amazing as you cover the team, then go back and forth across the country, and then all of a sudden Colt McCoy shows up in a big game, potentially? Doesn't that kind of amaze you every once in a while?
Yeah, and I cannot believe that it's been so long since they drafted Colt McCoy already. I mean, just like 10 years just goes by so fast, It's like, that was 2010. Can you even believe that? It just doesn't seem like it's been that long. But here we are, 2020, the weird year of 2020.
No question about it. Mary Kay Cabot is here. You can read her in Plain Dealer and cleveland.com and apparently find her somewhere on radio and TV, anywhere in the country, anytime, any day. We'll come back. We'll take a break. We'll take phone calls. I'd like to open up the line, 216-575-0403. And you can email us during the show. And that, of course, is reallesslevine@gmail.com. Back in a moment, powered by cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Birthdays for today, Eddie Robinson. He was the first baseman for the Indians in the 1948 World Series, which was won by the Tribe. Nick Bonacani, Miami Dolphins. Nick Dupp, I think he invented shaving cream. Charlie Scott, the great guard from North Carolina. Mo Vaughn, I'm not sure if Mo still lives in the Cleveland area. He had a business here. He, of course, beat out Albert Bell for the MVP in 1995, and Josh Norman, also born on this date in sports history. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Tomorrow night, Dennis Maniloff will be here. Andy Baskin will be here on Thursday. Mary Kay, you forgot to mention you were also on Baskin and Phelps today. You shunned them.
Oh my gosh, was that today? Oh yes, I was on Baskin and Phelps today too. Yes, you're right. I'm a little overextended right now. I just need to sleep.
Did you say, was that today?
Yeah.
That you were? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's all starting to run together. And I get to do this all over again next Sunday night again, but in New York or New Jersey, not in Cleveland. So actually now I have to travel to go do this. So that adds a whole other layer to it.
A new dimension to it. And it's not like it's New York. The Meadowlands is not like it's New York, but that's another story for another day. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. You know, for older Browns fans, and I'm present company included here, it was not the Pittsburgh Steelers who were the rivalry of the Browns. It was the New York football Giants. We call them football because they had the New York baseball Giants at the time. But that was the rivalry. I mean, I can still name every lineman for the New York Giants, and that's my problem. I know I have to take care of that. But that was a great, great rivalry. And Art Modell got out of that by taking money to switch leagues, if you recall, to go to what became the AFC, along with Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And, you know, we've talked over the last couple of weeks that the players, surprisingly to me, don't always know the history of the franchises or even the game of football. That probably doesn't surprise you anymore?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there were a number of players that don't really fully understand the history of the Ravens and how they used to be the Browns. I don't know, because once again, you know, we're not in a locker room situation this year where you could go, you know, ask Donovan Peoples-Jones if he knows about that, or, you know, some of the other new guys, Adrian Claiborne or whoever, if they know how that all went down and the significance of it and stuff like that. So, yeah, some of them don't know some of the stuff that you would think that they would.
All right, tell me about what Coach Stefanski said today about the injured guys. You got Denzel Ward, you got Sendejo. What do we know?
Well, we know that Sendejo has a concussion, so he might not be able to play in this game because obviously it's a short week. So he might not be ready for that. If he's not, then Sheldrick Redwine will probably get the start. And Tedrick Thompson, the new safety that they picked up in the last week off of waivers from the Chiefs, he was originally with the Seahawks for 4 seasons. He would probably roll in there and get some playing time. And it's like, you know what? Next man up. Time to put on the big boy pants and go play some Cleveland Browns football. So he could be out there a little bit. And then in terms of other injuries, Jed Wills, his ankle is fine. Wyatt Teller, his ankle seems to be okay, but they'll keep an eye on him this week. Austin Hooper should be back with his neck injury. And as you mentioned, Denzel Ward might be ready to go with that calf.
Are you surprised how some of these players have come out of nowhere and make big plays? You know, you talk about next man up theory and all that stuff, but that's really true in the Browns case, probably most teams' case. But the Browns seem to pull off plays that they have no business pulling off, and they're able to do it. Guy comes off the bench after a quick injury, and Baker he doesn't care about that. He goes and throws at him, and more often than not, he winds up with a completed pass.
Yeah, that's one great thing about Baker is that if he feels as though if you are out on the football field, then you deserve to be out there, and he is going to throw the football to you. And some of those guys have made some incredible plays. And, you know, let's just talk about Donovan Peoples-Jones for a minute. I mean, he's made some really nice plays, some heads-up plays. You can tell he's a really smart player. He knows where to be. It looks like he's running pretty precise routes. And not only that, he's got to go out there and play special teams too. So he's been on point. He made some really big catches in that game. And he has eased the loss of like a Kadero Hodge, you know, for a few games. And he's really done a nice job.
Yeah, I'm picturing Harbaugh, watching him play. He, of course, played for his brother and didn't distinguish himself all that much, nor has his brother, by the way, but that's a different story for a different day. And yet, if you play at Michigan, no matter how bad the record is, and you're playing at the big house in front of 100,000 people, these games should not the game shouldn't bother them. Being nervous, being something new, whether they perform or not. You should be able to do it if you play every Saturday in front of a full house.
Yeah, he's played on the big stage before, and you're right. He's played in those big football games, and the moment is not too big for him. I've been very, very impressed with him, and I think fans should kind of get excited about watching him play. He's doing a really, really nice job. So you've got, unheralded guys like Rashard Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones stepping up for you and just catching the ball. And the Browns have really good receivers. I mean, these guys, they're very well coached by Chad O'Shea. And they make really tough catches. I mean, you look at other guys on other teams, you watch the Pittsburgh game and you see Deontay Johnson dropping passes the other day. You see Marquise Brown dropping passes yesterday. For the most part, the Browns, they stick with that play. They know that Baker's going to be scrambling around a little bit. They know he's on those keepers. They know they have to stay live. They've got to get open and they've got to catch the ball, and they're doing a great job of that.
And you get the feeling that, okay, I'll let you drop one, but that's your quota for the next couple of weeks here. It seems to be the look that they get on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, as you could see, that Baker showed faith last week in Donovan Peoples-Jones. After he dropped that pass, he came back to him later in the game and found him behind the defense on that up and out, and he caught a 75-yard touchdown pass after dropping one early in the game. So he stayed focused enough to be able to do that, and Baker showed confidence in him to come back to him.
And just in the overview of this, do you think if the two teams played again tomorrow, we'll give them an off day to rest up, do you think that Stefanski wanted the game to be played at that level with that many points, at that much speed? If he had to do it again, would he try to slow it down some way, or does it depend how the game is going?
I think it depends on how the game is going, but I think when you play a team like that, you're going to have to score points. And the Browns can score points. That is one thing about this football team now. We wondered for a while, could they get into a shootout? Yes, they can get into a shootout. They can win a shootout. They can stay close in a shootout. And I think that's really a great thing to know, because they might have to get in several of them in the playoffs. I mean, what if they have to play Josh Allen? What if they have to play Patrick Mahomes? I mean, they're going to have to score points. So I think they learned something about themselves in this game, that they can just keep going down there and scoring. They've got so many weapons and so many ways that they can move the ball, and they're tough to defend. I mean, when you've got running backs like that, you've got tight ends like that, receivers, and an offensive line, you really should be able to do what they're doing.
That's a great tree you have in the background. You walk by it and you have your eyes on something that's underneath the tree, maybe? Or do you know in advance what it's all going to be?
No, I love my Christmas tree, and I'm just one of those people that I find it to be so magical. So I really enjoy walking through the room and seeing it, or coming downstairs and seeing it. And so I figured I might as well share it with other people too, because probably nobody's going to come to my house this year for Christmas. So why not show it off a little bit?
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll talk more about last night and next week. More Sports and Les Levine continues with Mary Kay Cabot right here, powered by cleveland.com.
Transform your home for the holidays with an authentic Nature Stone garage floor. No more tripping on cracked, uneven concrete. Stop slipping on puddles and standing water. It's the safer, more beautiful garage floor that's easy to clean and never needs replaced. That's why it's backed by Russell's Promise. For a limited time, get more Nature Stone than ever before with up to half your garage floor free. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com to qualify for your free flooring. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone!
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line, a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Mary Kay Cabot is with us. Tomorrow night, Dennis Maniloff, then we'll have Andy Baskin. That'll be on Thursday. And we will continue on through there. In the meantime, we talked earlier about the offense. What about the defense? Mary Kay, I didn't like the way Myles Garrett looked coming off the field last night. Was there something we should know about at this point, or are we going to wait till they say something?
Well, he had the elbow injury, and he looked during the game when he walked off with the elbow that he was in a lot of pain. But I don't know what happened. He was only out for about 5 plays. He was over there on the sideline, and then he came back in and he played the rest of the game. So I would anticipate that he will play against the Giants. He might take it easy and practice a little bit this week. He's probably a little bit sore, but it doesn't seem to be, from what I can tell, no structural damage, nothing that is going to keep him out for any length of time. And that's important because you just cannot be without Myles Garrett at this point in the season and heading into the playoffs.
Right. So not knowing who the starting quarterback for the Giants will be, and it could be Colt McCoy, if Myles Garrett can't do it, who has to step up and change that game a little bit?
Well, so far from everything I'm reading, it does seem like they are going to start Daniel Jones, which, again, against a pass rush like the Browns, I just don't know if that's a good idea. I wouldn't do it. I would not do that to him. I don't think he has the mobility to get away from Miles and Olivier and the guys. I would be starting Colt McCoy. But it seems like Joe Judge is pretty committed to sticking with Daniel. So that means, this could be a huge game for Myles Garrett. And, he still wants to win NFL Defensive Player of the Year. And, he could really add to his sack total in this game.
Baker Mayfield last night was sensational at times, as he has been the last 6-7 games. Do you think it's time maybe to change the offense a little bit and give him more to do, or do you think what they're doing is fine?
I think what they're doing is absolutely fine. I think that I think they have their rhythm down in this play action scheme. I think Baker does a great job of selling the fake. I think teams are biting on it. And then off of that, he can pass the ball with such incredible accuracy when teams give him that little bit of time. So I really think that, I think he's doing a tremendous job with all of that. And he seems just ideally suited to what Kevin Stefanski wants to do.
Do you think he's getting called for intentional grounding more because maybe he hasn't earned, in the referee's mind, maybe he hasn't earned the ability to not have it called? It seems like he's got, well, I do know he's got more intentional grounding penalties than anybody in the NFL. Is there a reason for it, or are they legitimate calls?
I don't know. It does seem odd that they're calling it more on him than maybe some other folks. But the one yesterday, his arm was hit. His arm was hit. So I just did not think that was a good call at all, and neither did he.
He was getting his checkbook out to write for the company.
Exactly. I don't blame him because, that was not a good call.
This is not because obviously I'm a Browns fan, but if they're trying to do a lot of things within the rules to cut down on injuries, that's when they can easily cut down and be a little more lenient on what is intentional grounding and what is not.
Yeah, that's true. They could do that, and maybe we will see that moving forward. But you're right about that. Give the quarterback an out if he really needs it at times. But I can also see the other point of view that you want them to have a legitimate person to be throwing to.
That's true. All right, let's take a break. We'll come on back. Mary Kay Cabot, you can read her every day and then some at cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer, and all the ships at sea, apparently, with that schedule that she's got. Let's take a break. More Sports and Les Levine is covered by cleveland.com.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
I just had Smiley One come out and check out my furnace. Did a great job as always. Today in sports history, look at this. December 15th is the date, 1973. Tennessee defeats, this is college basketball, Tennessee defeats Temple 11-6 in one of the lowest scoring games in national basketball history. And that has nothing to do with the shot clock or three-point shot or anything else. Just a horrible game. 11, I don't even want to go over it. How could you watch that game? I don't know. Mary Kay, would you cheerlead for that kind of a game?
I understand how you can have a basketball game with one side scoring only 6 points. I don't even understand that, but yeah.
Well, it was
must have been
just
fun.
enough to get beat, and they didn't cover the spread. That's all I know about that game. 216-575-0403. All right, here we are with just a couple of weeks left in the regular season, and we legitimately get to talk about playoffs. Now, last night's results, by the Browns losing, you'd think that was a bad loss, but they didn't change the playoff structure at all with that loss last night.
No, they're still the 5th seed for the playoffs. So, but the thing is that they have to be, a little bit careful about is that they are bunched up there, and you do have the Dolphins. And you do have the Ravens kind of, right behind there. Now, the Dolphins have a pretty tough schedule the rest of the way. But the Ravens, they can still win. They have a good chance of actually winning out and ending up in the playoffs. So
it's a horrible
you've got to
schedule.
still
It's
you
just
have to
a
be
horrible.
careful for these last AFC wildcard spots.
Yeah. Let's take a look at that again. Point out a couple of different teams here. There you see the Chiefs playing steadily. Steelers at 11-2. They were unbeaten a couple of weeks ago, and the list goes on with the Bills. A lot of people saw the Bills for the first time over the weekend, and I think they were pretty impressed. And Allen just like advertised, has a tremendous arm. So it'll be interesting to see all that. as it shakes on. Mary Kay, is there anybody that scares you more than anybody else on that list to see who the Browns might wind up playing in round number 1? Who would you like to see and who would you not like to see?
It's tough. It's tough to say because I think the Bills are going to be. That's going to be a tough. That's going to be a tough team to beat. That's going to be another one of those games where, if it's as advertised and goes the way you think that it will, it's going to be a tough, hard-fought football game. I really like Josh Allen. I always have. You know, I don't know. I don't know. Can you beat Tennessee twice in the same season? I don't know. I think Derrick Henry would probably have something to say about that. He was very mad about the way that he played in that game. So sometimes you don't want to go try to play again a team that you have already beaten because they know more about you and they've got something to prove now. So the Colts are in that situation.
Yeah, that being said, the only one that scares me more, well, if anybody gets there, if they get there, they deserve to be there. But I think Kansas City is the one that concerns me more than anybody else. I don't want to see Kansas City early on in the postseason or in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes, it doesn't matter, and we saw this past weekend. No lead is safe when Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback, okay? It's just not. He can come back from anything, and he has his team always believing that he can come back from anything. Sort of the same feeling that the Browns had yesterday with Baker Mayfield. But these guys have a history of it with Patrick, where they've seen him just come back time and time and time again from huge deficits. And we've seen that the Browns defense is sort of vulnerable in certain spots right now. Although I do think that by the time the playoffs roll around, they might have Ronnie Harrison back, and they should have Denzel Ward back.
I got an email a couple of weeks ago. Somebody asked me if Mitchell Schwartz still had his streak going as far as consecutive snaps. He was challenging Joe Thomas, and Mitchell broke his ankle a couple of weeks ago, so he's been out the last couple of games. So that streak, which was zeroing in a little bit on Joe Thomas, Joe's not in any danger of losing that streak right now. But Mitchell, who should still be the guard here for the Cleveland Browns, but that's another story for another day. Is there an easy path to, as the postseason goes, or to get to Kansas City?
I wouldn't say, no, I don't think there's an easy path. I mean, if you think about it, all the teams that would be in play in terms of, Titans, Colts, Bills, Ravens. There's no easy route anymore. I mean, and that is why playing a game like they played yesterday was good for them, to be in that type of an atmosphere, that intense playoff-like atmosphere. It will serve them well as they move forward. Some of the younger guys, got a feel for what it's like to be in a physical game like that. Harrison Bryant, Jedrick Wills, Donovan Peoples-Jones. They learned some things about what NFL football is all about yesterday. And once they get into the playoffs, they can look back to this game and say, oh, yeah, I knew this.
Has the word gotten out around the league that some players who might not have thought about playing for the Cleveland Browns have seen in the last 5-6 weeks and may have changed their mind, or at least added Cleveland as a possibility once the agent sits down and talks to somebody? Do you think they've earned that right to be included on some list right now?
I think so. I think they're on that list. When players see that a team is committed to winning and has a really good football coach that people love playing for, a great staff who will bring out the best in you, then players want to play for that team. Now, some people don't like to play in the cold weather and they want to live in a different type of an environment, a different kind of city. But for the most part, I mean, to have this team winning the way that it's winning right now, that will open a lot of eyes.
Let's take a break. We'll come on back with Mary Kay Cabot tomorrow night. Dennis Maniloff is here, Andy Baskin on Thursday. More Sports and Les Levine continues, powered by cleveland.com.
Transform your home for the holidays with an authentic Nature Stone basement floor. Add more livable space, inhibit the growth of mold and mildew, and improve air quality for your family. It's the healthier, more beautiful basement floor that's easy to clean and never needs replaced. That's why it's backed by Russell's Promise. For a limited time, get more Nature Stone than ever before with up to half your basement floor free. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com to qualify for your free flooring. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Well, at the beginning of the season, when everybody started playing the schedule game, you look at the schedule and say, well, there's a win, there's a loss, there's a win, there's a loss. Most people have the New York Football Giants on the win side for the Cleveland Browns. Now, I would still make them the favorite. I haven't seen what they are as far as the line is concerned. But this is a team that's not as easy as we thought it was going to be. And it's what we call a trap game, and that's what this could be.
Yes, defensively, they are playing well. And that is the thing that the Browns are going to have to worry about. Offensively, I'm not too worried about them handling Daniel Jones. I mean, obviously, Saquon Barkley is out for the season and has been. So from that standpoint, I think they'll be okay. But this is a defense that can, that can sneak up on you and get some things done. So, they won 4 games in a row. They kind of came up off the mat, and they're still in the thick of it. I think they might even still be in first place, and so they're viewing this as a very big game.
And let's take a look at those stats again and show you what's going on defensively. There you go, 22 points allowed a game by the Giants, which is 10th in the NFL, and there you see the rest of it, and turnovers with a total of 20. So that's what the Browns will be looking up at on Sunday night. I'm so confused. When is this game? Monday night?
No, it's Sunday night. It's the Sunday night game. And, when you look at the rushing yards allowed there, that's pretty significant that they are 7th against the run, because obviously that's the bread and butter for the Cleveland Browns. So if you take that away, then Baker's got to get hot again and go to the passing game. But this is going to be an interesting football game.
Let me go back to, as you prepare for these games and the games actually take place, there have been so many spectacular plays by Browns players this year. Do you find yourself just watching it, or are you still able to keep control as to what you're supposed to be looking for? Because I would excuse you if you had to sneak out and just say, wow, what a phenomenal pass and catch that was.
Well, you try to do that and get a feel for the game and get an appreciation for all of that. But as I mentioned to you before, we have a lot of responsibilities going on during the game. So I don't actually just get to sit there and watch the game like I would like to, and, just enjoy and get the whole vibe for it. Because again, we've got to be writing during the game and subtexting to our subscribers during the game. And so it can be a little bit challenging and stressful. And sometimes you have to come home and watch the game all over again to see the little different things that you miss here and there. But for the most part, I try to get a real vibe or feel for the momentum. I try to see what's going on the sidelines, see who's standing next to who or talking to who. That's why I like to actually be at the game whenever I can be.
All right, so Kevin Stefanski, his toughest loss, I think, is Browns head coach. How do you think, well, you saw him after right after the game, how do you think he's taking it? And what do you think he's going to do about it?
He's a flatliner, so I think that's good. He's the same for the most part, whether they win or lose. He knows what he has to do next. He has to start preparing for the next team, and he knows they can't let up. They cannot let their foot off the gas right now. They've got to take it to the Giants, and they've got to do the same thing that they've done or tried to do in the last 2 weeks, and that's come out fast, get out front, try not to fall behind a team so that you can keep your run game going and you can keep your play action going. And I think that's what they'll try to do again. Obviously, they don't want it to be this close, and they also don't want to let teams back into the games. So that's another thing that they want to do. I mean, the previous 2 weeks, they let the team back into the game when it should have been put away. So what they would like to do is get a comfortable lead and hang on to it all the way to the end.
Right. You made a good point talking about Stefanski being a flatliner, because if he shows too much emotion, a guy drops a pass or a fumble or whatever, a bad penalty. And by the way, they've had a few more penalties than I'd like to see in the last few games. But yet I think what he's done is he's communicated to his team that, don't worry, we're with you. If you wouldn't be starting or you wouldn't be playing if we didn't have faith in you. And so I think it helps that he doesn't show the emotion of a bad play by somebody, because then the guy's not thinking, well, what do I do now? I'm in trouble. And I think Stefanski does a good job of keeping that off the board.
Yeah, he does. And the other thing that he does really well, though, even though he's sort of an even-keeled kind of a guy, he motivates this football team, and he gets these guys ready to play with their hair on fire. So the fact that he is sort of, as we said, a flatliner, shouldn't be misconstrued for lacking passion or lacking the ability to motivate, because obviously there's no way that you could play a game like you did yesterday without being super motivated. Now, having said that, I think they've also added a ton of guys onto the football team that are self-motivated. They love the game. They're passionate. Even, guys like Ronnie Harrison, he shows up on the doorstep and he's just like ready to run through a wall. And I think they have a lot of guys on the team like that.
You think the players have to introduce themselves to each other and do that every time they see themselves?
No, I think they've done a good job this year of figuring out ways for guys to not only get to know each other initially, but to stay connected, even during a lot of times where they just had to be at home, in their own apartments or even their hotel rooms in some cases, and being on these Zoom meetings, doing everything virtually. I think they've done a really good job of trying to get the camaraderie and keep it.
All right, let's take one more break and we'll come on back. If there's time to get a phone call in, if you'd like to do it, you see the number at the bottom of the screen, 216-575-0403. More Sports and Less Levine, powered by cleveland.com.
Transform your home for the holidays with an authentic Nature Stone garage floor. No more tripping on cracked, uneven concrete. Stop slipping on puddles and standing water. It's the safer, more beautiful garage floor that's easy to clean and never needs replaced. That's why it's backed by Russell's Promise. For a limited time, get more Nature Stone than ever before with up to half your garage floor free. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com to qualify for your free flooring. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Tomorrow night, Dennis Maniloff from WTAM Radio joins us. And then on Thursday, it'll be Andy Bascom from 92.3 The Fan. Mary Kay Cabot is with us. And by the way, we were talking about Mary Kay and how busy her schedule is, which is phenomenal. I don't think a lot of people can handle that kind of a schedule. But to ease it off, you'd much rather do it that way than have to cover a 1-31 team, I would think.
Sorry. Just had a family member walking through. Yes, absolutely, 100%. I
don't have to pay anybody, do we?
Pardon me?
We don't have to pay.
I think it was a family. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was a family member. Anyways, yes. So it's fun. It's fun to do this. It's fun to tell the stories to the fans when I know they're excited and they're into it and they want to listen to our podcast and they want to read the stories, because people jump onto the bandwagon when the Browns are winning. So it's nice to have this going on in December. And it's also, I think, great to give people something to feel good about in the midst of a very challenging year overall.
Okay, you're talking to national media members almost every day. Is Baker Mayfield normally the starting point with them, or is there somebody else? What else is there?
Well, it's Baker Mayfield, but Myles Garrett as well. So yeah, those are the top two. It would be Odell Beckham Jr. obviously, but he's not playing anymore. And then people want to talk about Kareem and Nick and those sorts of things, and a lot of Kevin Stefanski. People want to know what he has done to get this team winning and on track.
Let's go to the phones. We'll go to BP, who's in Pepper Pike. Hello, BP.
Hey, Les and Mary Kay, how are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well, doing great.
Oh, thanks for taking my call. It was tough. Obviously it was an exciting game, but it was unfortunately the outcome wasn't very good. But my biggest takeaway is, we had a 1-point lead with about 5 minutes to go, and it was 3rd and 10, and their backup quarterback, we only rushed 4 guys. I thought they should have come in with like a really, like a tough, corner blitz or safety blitz or some kind of, action on that. And I want to know what, Mary Kay thinks, or what you think of, I think our defensive coordinator is just a little bit too, laid back. I'd like to see a little bit more, volatility and some action with some of the schemes. And what do you guys think of that? I just felt that we should have won that game if we had a little bit of a stronger defensive coordinator.
Whoa. All right.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
Well, I actually am not going to blame it on Joe Woods, because I think that Joe has done a really nice job this season with what he has to work with. Now, everybody wants calls back in a game. Kevin Stefanski has calls that he would like to have back in that game. I understand what you're saying, that in that situation he could have been a little bit more aggressive. And I think that if he had his full personnel, maybe he would be. He's probably having to do some things a little differently because he doesn't have a guy like Ronnie Harrison that he can blitz in a certain situation, or a Denzel Ward that can handle certain things. He's had a lot of moving parts, and they're way, way, way deep down into their depth right now. I mean, think about the fact that their 4 starting defensive backs were not in that football game. If you were to start the season, it was supposed to be Grant, Delpit, Greedy Williams, and then ultimately Ronnie Harrison and Denzel Ward. None of those guys were in that football game last night. And I would like to think that if, even if they had 2 of those guys back, and they could if they have to run into the Ravens again, that you'll have Ronnie Harrison and Denzel, and you'll do a better job.
That all being said, Kevin Stefanski is still learning on the job, right? It hasn't shown that much because they've had success, but you forget he's new at all this stuff.
Yeah, you know what? He really only has called plays for one full season and then 3 games in the previous season. So, some of this stuff is going to be new to him. I think he's doing a phenomenal job with it. I think it's great that he did get that year under his belt last year before he got the job. I think that helped. But yeah, I think he's doing a tremendous job. But he readily admits there are certain things that that he is still on the learning curve himself.
All right, you got the Giants and the Browns coming up this weekend. What kind of game do you expect? Again, I'm not going to ask you for a score, but is it going to be a running game? Is it going to be a clock user? What's it going to be?
I think the Browns in this game will probably end up being able to use more of a balanced attack. I think that they will, I think they'll attack them in both ways. Because of the play action, you have to keep it viable. So you want to be able to run the ball, and that's such a strength, especially because, it's going to be probably freezing cold, and who knows what the weather's going to be like or what the conditions will be like. So you're going to always rely on Nick and Kareem at this time of year, and then Baker will take his shots off of that play action. And I think it's a great formula, and they've got it down, so don't mess with it. They're fooling defenses plenty, and they can score points, and I think they're going to stick with that.
BP, you still think the Browns will hang in there and get a good position, get into the playoffs with a good position?
Yeah, but I almost think now, I think they have to have like a win, win all 3 games, like just win out, because, Baltimore has a really easy schedule now. Their next 3 games are easy, basically. Cincinnati, Jacksonville, and I forgot the other team. I think the Giants also, maybe the Jets, I'm not sure. But, basically they're right on our heels now, which I don't like at all. And so, if I were the Browns, I would just shoot for win out and go 12-4. Then you're in the playoffs.
That makes it too easy. Even I can do the math on that.
Yeah, overall though, I love what the job that Stefanski has done, and Andrew Berry. I still think the Browns are $30 million under the salary cap. I would have liked to have seen them, pick up a couple of veteran guys, and that might have helped in yesterday's game. A safety or a cornerback, anybody. I hate, these years. I hate to, just say, well, the Browns, they're not a Super Bowl caliber team, so let's just not spend all that $30 million. Every year is precious, and I really would have liked. I think this team can go a long way if they had maybe a couple of more pieces on defense.
All right, BP, thanks so much for joining us. Mary Kay, great job as usual. Get some sleep. Try to get some sleep.
Yeah, right. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
Well, we set the record. You might have had the most media positioning statements today than anybody. You were all over the country.
Yeah, for a day where I only slept for 3 hours, it was a lot. I have to say it was a lot. Hopefully this was my last tonight, and I'm not forgetting about some 10 o'clock radio show that I committed to.
All right, thanks so much, Mary Kay. We'll talk to you during the week, and we'll get you next week also. Thanks so much.
Sounds good. Right. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. All right, that'll do it for us. Dennis Maniloff tomorrow. Andy Baskin on Thursday. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.